Hi, I'm Scott Grove, and in this course I want to show you how I fixed a damage, if you will, on this piece of furniture here. And I'm going to show you how to do a composite inlay, which is very fast, and in this case it worked really well because it had a compound curve that I had to fill. Unfortunately, this is one of my first videos, still working out some of the technical sides of things, and I didn't film the actual damage, but I do have how I made the repair. But let me kind of show you what's going on here. So this boat-shaped table here has a veneer top and a composite. It's a fiberglass hull. So what I do is I actually, I'll use this piece of wood here. I take a piece of veneer and I veneer the top. And then I router off the edge. Let me zoom out a bit. For what it's worth, this is an inlay of my beautiful wife that I did at another course, which I'll be sharing with you. So when I veneer the top, I router off this edge flush. And what happened is I blew a bearing, which means the bearing fell off of my router bit. And it gouged into just a little bit, ruining the entire piece. So instead of throwing the thing away, I put a rabbet along this edge and filled it with a composite. So you can see this sort of black line here. And it was a very, very easy fix. So I hope that makes sense. And let me now show you how I did that in a couple of real easy steps. But it took probably maybe an hour to make this repair. And I actually now have a one-of-a-kind piece with this black inlay on the top. And it's actually kind of something that I might consider doing from now on, just making more mistakes. Okay, let's take a look. I'll show you how I did that. After routering in a rabbet around the entire piece, leaving a notch in the edge and removing my damage, I cover both sides of the notch with masking tape. I like to use wide blue painter's tape and cut it off with a razor blade. This leaves a nice little notch that I'll fill with my composite. Make sure that's pressed down with a nice tight seam. And now I go ahead and mix up my Bondo. Actually, I use what's called Duraglass, which is a Bondo or automotive putty with milled fibers in it. It's a little stronger. I then add a polyester pigment, in this case black. I want to mix this in really well, and so I have a nice consistent color. After thoroughly mixing, I'll save a little bit for future repairs. You never know when there's going to be a little air bubble. Inevitably there will be, and I want to make sure that I have consistent color throughout. Now, since I have a large quantity here, I don't want to catalyze it all at the same time. So I'm going to separate this in half and add my hardener. The hardener comes in blue, white, or red. In this case, I'm using blue, and that mixes with the black really well for a nice consistent color. I also like to work on polyethylene, this little polyethylene square. It cleans easy, and when the body putty or Bondo does cure on it, it simply breaks off. It's a nice palette to work from. Got to work quickly though, because I only have about 5 minutes before this starts setting up. Now you can see I have a green tape. That green tape is another layer of tape that I've added over and extended above the side notch. This creates a little dam and prevents the Bondo from sort of spilling out over the side. It's a nice little trick to work when you're trying to fill edges. I like to trowel this in as best I can, being careful not to get any on my wood veneer top. That's why I like to use a 2-inch wide painter's tape. After the material starts to set up, there's a stage what's called a leather state. It's not completely hard, and you can actually cut it with a razor blade. So I can slice off a nice thin slice flush with the top. Now remove the green tape dam only. Here you can see there are some bubbles that I didn't quite was able to trowel in, so this is where I use my extra material. And I'll go in and fill in any little surface bubbles, and go around the side and fill all those voids in. And since I'm using the same material with the same amount of pigment, the match will be perfect. And with the painter's tape still on there, it's going to leave this surface slightly high. So when I remove my tape, that fill will be just a hair high, the thickness of the tape. And there you go, nice inlay. Quick and easy. All we have to do is a quick light sand, flushing that inlay down, or the Bondo, even with the surface. And when I apply some finish, that inlay will now turn jet black. I'll brush some solvent on here, show you what it's going to finish product's going to look like. But as you can see, that inlay is very, very effective. In this case, when I finished the side, I actually finished the sides of the inlay, so the inlay is only showing on the top. But either way, you can leave the top and the side exposed, or just the top. It's a really nice inlay.